Hello, today I'm going to be doing a book review of the First Law Trilogy by Abercrombie. The First Law Trilogy is the traditional fantasy genre, with swords, sorcery and indeed adventuring across the countryside. The books have a variety of characters within them. It starts off with the character Logan Ninefingers, who is this tall barbarian type character, or otherwise known as the Bloody Nine. There is Inquisitor Glocta, who is a former torture victim, now become the chief torturer himself. There is Jezal, Captain Jezal, I think his rank is, who is a arrogant, selfish sort of nobleman who thinks he's brilliant and he likes sword fighting tournaments and such. The other main characters are Baez, the first of the Magi, who is a big wizard type, sort of vaguely Gandalf-like, but not very nice. The plot line is that there is a war brewing in the north, and the collection of characters are assembled to try and do something about this threat. I'm not going to go into the plot any more than that, which is extremely vague, because I don't want to do plot spoilers. Oh yes, I almost forgot to mention, the trilogy itself is made up of the blade itself, Before They Are Hanged, and The Last Argument of Kings. Now in the blade itself, this book feels very much like a sort of set-up book. You get told who the characters are, what they look like, and just the entire book is just a build-up for everything else that happens. This is not a bad thing, as you do learn about the characters extremely well. The second book, Before They Are Hanged, is my personal favourite of the three. This is the book where you already know the characters by this point, and they are starting to do really interesting things, and you see more of the world itself, which is described pretty well. The land is not described quite as well as other series, like, of course, A Song of Ice and Fire, but it is still described rather well. The third book, The Last Argument of Kings, is an interesting one. I didn't like it as nowhere near as much as the second or the first. The first was good, the second was very good, the third was debatable. The way the book ends, I think, doesn't work very well. And indeed, I actually feel as though he's almost setting himself up for another trilogy or another set of books after these. The characters are not resolved in a way that you would like. So I'm kind of half expecting them to be another book or trilogy or something continuing on, maybe a certain time in the future. I don't know, 20 years or something like that. Overall, the character development is really, really good. They start off in a certain way. You then develop them in the first and second book, and they evolve into something more and indeed better, I think. Unfortunately though, in the third book he seems to almost progress on his own characters, and his characters don't work out the way you want them to do. Now on GoodReads, I give these 3 for the first book, 3 for the third, and 4 stars for the second book. Slightly unusual, but the second is much better. The characters are a little bit predictable in terms of what they are. You know, there is the big magic wizard, there is the arrogant sort of noble, there's the really brutal savage, and there's a few other types I'm not going into. But despite this, they are described extremely well, and there are different facets to these characters that you don't necessarily expect, and indeed don't fit the stereotypical mould, which is really nice to see. So, in summary, good books overall, but they let down at the end. So they're worth reading if you want a sort of dark fantasy, just don't be too affected by the ending, unfortunately. Anyway, that's it for this review. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you've read the books, please let me know in the description below. And that is pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you another day.